Hello and welcome to The Court Jester, your weekly dose of saucy medieval comedy. I am Cleopatra, medievalist and storyteller, and before I start today's episode called aptly Trollops and Troupers, I'm going to do what I usually do and warn you. Like all the previous stories, today's story is also a fabliau, which means that it was written several hundred years ago when things were very different, and so you will have your usual misogynistic, gender binary, violent, ableist, disturbing humor. And when that's not the problem, then the problem will be just hardcore, blatant absurdity. Today's story is not that bad, actually, and it's one of the few ones that potentially could pass as something that could be considered funny today. There's not many of them in my collection. However, if this is not what you want to be listening to today, feel free to skip this one and come back when you're feeling a bit naughtier. Today we're sticking to the theme of sacrilege, or of a review of scripture, Christianity, and generally traditional Western morals. However, we still need to consume this content in context because it's 1,000 years old and we're more adult than that. So if we're ready, let's get started for another alternative, more interesting reading of creation. Let's go for Trollops and Troupers. We all know the story by now. God created the world in 7 days, and he created the man and the woman and the animals and the light and the plants and the earth and everything around them. And then God filled the earth with people. And when he did that, he created 3 orders of people to live on this earth: the clergy, the knights, and the peasantry. Each one had their own place and function. The knights would own government, and they would own the land, and they would do all the administrative bit. The clergy would take care of the poor and take care of our soul's salvation. And the peasants will do all the hard work. They will work the earth, they will have the farms, they will have the animals, they will break their backs every day to make a living. And having done that, God felt that he created a really good order of things. So he looked around him, was proud of himself, and went to have a nap. As he was leaving, he saw a group of people rushing towards him, and he looked more closely, and he saw that these were the whores, the Trollops, the entertainers, the Troupers, the Troubadours, the entertainers, the bawds. They haven't really gone very near him, but they saw him running away. And as God was leaving, they started chasing him and shouting, "God, where are you going? Where are you going? Don't run, we need to talk to you. Please, wait, don't run." Looking over his shoulder, God asked, "What?" And the group of people shouted, "You've given everyone a place, and we have no place in your world. What about us? You have forgotten about us." Not knowing what exactly was happening, God turned to St. Peter and asked, "Peter, what are they talking about? Who are they?" "They are the surly ones, Lord. They were also created by you, so probably you don't remember doing that, but you did it. And they are the ones who do the entertaining and do the whoring and do the body naughty things that everyone else enjoys, but they're not supposed to be doing them. And they were created by you. And since you've given everyone else a function, they want a part of it now. They need to be a part of this world. They need you to tell them how to exist." "I see," said God. "Well, I need to make provision, don't I?" Instead of going to them, God turned around and went straight to the knights. And to them he said, You are the lords to all the lands. Now I also give you ownership of the entertainers. They are your charge, they will live in your entourage, and you are the ones who are supposed to be generous and open-handed and give them money and feed them and clothe them and pay them for their entertainment and for their services. And you," he turned around, talking to the clergy, "you, my clergy, you shall maintain under your protection the whores, in accordance with my decree as I now pronounce it." And thinking that he absolutely solved this, God was happy and went for that nap. Now, if you look around you in the world we all know, you'll see that in keeping with the Lord's word, the clergy supports indeed harlotry. They're holding these women in very high regard. They're giving them really, really good money indeed. They get the cream of the crop of all Mother Church's riches. On the contrary, the troopers, the entertainers, they do not enjoy the same fortunate fate, which is why all the knights will go to hell, because they look with scorn on the performers, who generally live poorer than mice, feeding them scraps of their table, and then whores, they get dressed in fine linen, and in furs, and clad with jewellery. And the entertainers, what do they get? Second-handed clothes, the ones that the lords do not want to wear anymore. Yes, you're doing a great job, knights, thank you. For all their words, and for all their fine promises, and for all the words of the Lord himself, the knights have made quite a mess. The clergy are doing quite a good job, though, and they're not doing it for any other reason than they want to save their own souls. But at the end, who cares? The Lord asked them to provide. Provide the clergy do, provide the knights do not. So, in case I haven't made my point clear, everyone's going to hell unless you pay your entertainers. This was the very quick and eloquent story of how the world came to have Trollops and Troupers and what the order of things is. The author, teller, original jester who told this tale did not make any effort to hide the fact that he's doing it for the money, and who am I to do otherwise? So now, specifically for this one, I'm going to start my outro the other way around. You know that I usually put links in the show notes for Patreon and for other places when you can support us. I'm not exactly a troubadour, but I am a medievalist and I don't get much sense of achievement. But if you liked what you heard, consider supporting us. If you don't want to commit to us in that way, then definitely follow us on social media, like this podcast and follow it on Spotify or wherever it is that you get your podcasts, and tell everyone you know that you know now about what the order of things is and should be, and that you heard it first from a medieval troubadour. And that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Until next time.